What's up, you pussy-ass pussies? It is Flynn. This is a Flynn podcast. Let's get right on into it. 4th of September 2021. We're just gonna be doing some schoolwork. Start on that physics TA, and then watch some chemistry videos. Then that's us for the day. Schoolwork. Yes, sir. Alright. Gang. Listen, I was just I got my first coronavirus vaccine today. Today's the 4th of September 2021. First coronavirus vaccine, right on my arm. That's pretty cool. Gang. So we got the Pfizer vaccine. We're arming our immune system to fight off that Delta virus, that Delta variant coronavirus. Gang. Okay, let's do this fucking. This shit is so basic. This physics shit is like baby fucking shit, man. Gang. 220. I'll just stop at 250, have a 5-minute break, and then do some chemistry. Gang. These levels are just too advanced. Gang. These levels are just too advanced. Dakota ID 2210 25030. Yeah, so with that coronavirus, we just that vaccine. It was actually where my mates FCY, this little church group thing. A public little thing, and you just sign up for an appointment, went in, stuck a needle in your arm, and then bang, you've got the vaccine. Just had a shave. I don't know if you guys can tell. Just had a shave, but I can't grow much facial hair. I want to grow a full fucking beard. These levels are just too advanced. Gang. Levels are just too advanced. Ooh. What the fuck? An ancient Australia student holds a pigeon near a mission chart. The rule and reads of the length from the chart. What the fuck does that mean? Gang. Huh? The diagram shows the outer and inner diameters of a ring being measured using by a caliper. What the fuck? Calculate the thickness of the ring metal with its uncertainty. Gang. Levels are just too advanced. Alright. Alrighty then. Where's my calculator? Gang. Levels are just too much. Gang, 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 gang. Those are just two words. Little kid on a bike. Go. This is seriously the most basic shit. What the fuck? What the fuck, sir? Gang, 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 gang. Gang, 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 gang. These levels are just too advanced. Gang, 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 gang. Levels are just too advanced. Okay, I'm gonna stop working on this because this shit is fucking boring as fuck. Holy shit. Take a break and then come back and we'll watch some chemistry videos. And then nothing really, I don't know. Let's fulfill that order real quick too. That's an 8-packet, that's a really good price. Not to New Zealand though. Ireland. It's actually going to cost quite a lot to get this to Ireland. I don't know why shipping there is so expensive. October 10th isn't that bad, man. To Ireland. Oh shit, that's really good. Let's just fill this order fucking finally. Jesus Christ, I feel bad. It took a long time to fill their order. We have a live visitor on our store. Huh. What do you know?
Hey, that's their exact fucking. Good, cool.
Okay, cool. Let's take a break and then we'll watch some chemistry videos and then that'll be it for the podcast.
But Jen, she's getting old now. It's not worth the money. We'd rather spend the money on a decent dog. Yeah.
These tables are just too advanced. They don't know who I am. Yeah.
Alrighty.
mate, that is not plugged in. You ready? Gang, 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 gang. Let's watch some chemistry videos, pussy. Okay, let's watch this video, this whole last video. Hopefully it's good quality. Come on, be good quality.
Hi guys, welcome to today's recording on NCEA Level 3 Redox. We are going to look at electrolysis today. So electrolysis is the opposite of the electrochemical cells that we did the other day. Electrolysis is looking at, electrolysis is actually one of the, again, very important processes because it, the application of electrolysis is huge, you know, because all the metals that we use in construction, you know, aluminium, and name any metals really, they come up as, this is where, when I talked about this in my class, and all the gamers understood, like, oh, Minecraft, because you don't dig up metals from the ground, you dig up the ores and you have to put it in the furnace and turn it into metal and build from there. Because it's kind of similar, but you know, chucking that in the furnace wouldn't work. I mean, heating it will be part of the processes, but you need electricity. One of the biggest energy consumers in New Zealand is Tiwai Point, the smelter, the aluminium smelter. It uses, if I remember this correctly, it uses about 40% of Meridian Energy's electricity output. Okay, because what they do, they use all of that electricity to purify aluminium. Okay, so let's look at electrolysis. When you see electrolysis or any type of questions they ask you to do electrolysis, they always give you what we call an ionic compounds. So they always go, do the electrolysis of this thing, let's say liquid or molten magnesium chloride. And then they give you these two things. They give you the standard reduction potential values and they ask you to do a range of questions.
Let's figure this out.
So I'm not going to specifically look at the questions per se. I'm just going to explain to you how this works. Okay. So the first thing with the electrolysis, you need to understand with MgCl2, the two species that you have right now is Mg2 plus and Cl minus. So you always, guys, always start with the ions. So with the process with electrolysis is that you only have the ions at the beginning. You only have the ions at the beginning. So this is slightly different to electrochemical cells where you have, you know, both species in a couple, but for electrolysis you only have the ions. So what that means, guys, is that if you don't understand, where's my mouse go? If you don't understand what electrolysis is, you can just do this. You start with the ions and you always make the element. Okay.
Alright. Genuinely didn't know that. Cool. Oh.
If you remember it like this, you will never ever get this wrong. Okay, because every year when I mark these internal, I see about at least 3 to 5 students out of a single class. Could be really top achievers, could be someone that is struggling. Your ability doesn't matter. It is your understanding, and they just write it other way around. If you've done that, it's not achieved. Okay, it just shows you're not even getting the species right. So this is where if you're here wanting to get just to pass, this is a very helpful tip. If you're doing electrolysis, you always start with the ions. So always go into the standard reduction potential table, look for the ions, start with them, and then they turn into whatever thing that's on the other side. Okay, so that's one way that you can think of it. That's what electrolysis actually stands for. If you look up the definition, it uses the ions to make elements. And that's how they purify metal, because metals are elements. Okay. Now, the other thing with electrolysis, this is a non-spontaneous reaction. Okay, so it's non-spontaneous. That means if you chuck Cl- and Mg2 plus together, and then boil the water away, or just melt it, whatever, you have magnesium chloride. Come back in 100 years, it's never going to turn into magnesium metal and chlorine gas spontaneously, because the reason for that is that the cell potential value, which is again using reduction minus oxidation, is going to give you a negative value. A negative value means it's non-spontaneous. Okay, so let's look at these two. All right, so if we have 1.36 and negative 2.36 volts for these two values, the only possible way for the cell potential to be negative is you use negative 2.36 minus 1.36, which is going to give you negative 3.72 volts. So this is a negative number. Negative number means it's non-spontaneous.
Right.
So when you are doing this type of reaction, you need to supply this particular combination with 3.72 volts of electricity. So this is where, if you like using rechargeable batteries, this is where, or any cell phone batteries, laptop batteries, also rechargeable batteries. So think of this. When you are using it, you're turning on the phone, boom, it works, because the chemicals inside is spontaneously reacting. They generate current, they generate electricity, and that is what's keeping your phone going. And if you have an iPhone like me, they die within 3 hours of usage because their batteries are absolute trash. And then what that means is that you need to plug it in and then start charging. And what is that charging process? That charging process is actually going the other way. So if you think about, let's say, for example, A turning to B, I'm generating 3.96 volts, for example. And then once the reaction has finished, you don't have any A left. You have tons of B's, okay? And your battery's dead, okay? So what do you need to do? You plug into the wall, and you're forcing B to turn back to A, because spontaneously your cell phone battery is not going to recharge up on its own, even though that would be a really good idea, but they won't, because it's a non-spontaneous reaction. This will give you negative 3.96 volts. I'm just using these numbers, just imaginary numbers. Now, so where does that 3.96 volts come from? That's going to come from the power from the wall socket, and that's going to force the B to turn into A, and you don't have any B left, and you have tons of A at the end. So it just keeps going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the reason why the battery lifespan decreases over time is because of during this A turning to B, the B turning into A, you will lose some of the ingredients. You will lose some of the reactants, which will never turn back to the original chemical. And that's how your battery slowly dies, and you need replacement. Okay, so in this case, you can attempt, I'm just giving you 2 ways of starting it. Both of these are really straightforward. One, if you look at the ionic compound, find the ions, start with these. And once you start with them, and then you can just balance it. This is 2 electrons, this is 2 electrons. Oops, I can't even do redox. Plus 2 electrons, plus 2 electrons, and this is a reduction reaction, this is oxidation reaction, and there you go, you've done it like that. That's perfectly fine. Or
Easy.
if you're quite mathematical, you got the two numbers written down, and you just need to ask yourself, how do I get a negative number? And then
You're
you
quite
know,
mathematical.
use
Shut the
one
fuck
minus
up.
the
It's
other.
fucking
The combination will
2.36.
give you a negative
That's
number. Will be
1.36,
this
buddy.
one is reduction, this one's oxidation, and then you can just go back to where the numbers we got the numbers from and figure it out from there. Okay, so this is non-spontaneous, and this is where your battery or external power pack comes into place. So let's draw this. Let's have a look at this. Hopefully this makes sense, and then you can balance the equations and everything else. That's not the emphasis of this particular video. So how it works is this is my beaker. As you can see, this is already quite different to your electrochemical cell. Because
no
the
separation.
electrochemical cell, again, we're looking at the school laboratory ones. Okay, they're not perfect. But if you look at some old school, like say the lead acid batteries, like the old school car batteries, they're actually in one container. But it's designed to have the plates in the acid, and is pretty well designed, but it's because it contains sulfuric acid, it's not a really good idea. It's not very sustainable. It's quite dangerous. So that's why they're slowly replacing it with newer batteries. But this is a electrochemical cell. So what's in here? In here is my Mg2 plus and my Cl minus, and then these are. This is my graphite. We can use platinum. This is my graphite. Because these two things are not solids, they're not solid, so I need something to connect the wire to. I can't just dip 2 wires into the liquid. That would be insane. Don't want to do that. Now, if you don't do any physics, make sure the positive terminal is a tall line, the negative terminal is a short line. Okay, so this is a circuit. Okay, so this is a circuit. So instead, if you look at the electrochemical cell, the oxidation reaction spontaneously happens, supplies electrons, the reduction reaction pick up these electrons, and then you have a flow of electricity, and then you have voltage. But in this case, if I don't give them if I don't supply them the voltage, nothing would actually happen. So this is where you need an external power source. The external power source supplies the electrons. So the electrons going to come out of these. They're going to come out of these negative electrode, and then they go into this particular electron. So remember, the negative electron, the negative terminal supplies electrons. So this particular thing is the cathode. Oops, that's horrible spelling. Cathode, and then this is where reduction reaction takes place. Reduction reaction takes place, and if you look at the reaction that we saw just now, Mg2 plus is turning to Mg. So in this particular electrode, this thing here, you are going to have the reduction reaction, because reduction reaction is gain of electrons. Where do the electrons come from? They come from the power supply. So the power supply supplies electrons, goes into the carbon electrode, and now can you see what's going to happen is that all of the Mg2 pluses, just using fancy colors, all of the Mg2 pluses are going to be attracted to this particular electrode, because they're like, oh my god, the electrons are coming, let's go hang out with these electrons. So they're going to congregate around the carbon electrode. And then one way to understand the charge, this is going to be slightly different. The cathode is actually now the negative electrode. Is negatively charged, and the best way to, again, there are two ways of understanding it, because the electrons are being supplied, so this is rich in electrons. But the one particular method that everyone understands is that because the Mg2 plus is being attracted to this electrode. Why would they be attracted? Because this electrode is negative, and then the Mg2 plus like negatives because they're oppositely charged, and they come here and they make magnesium. So what's going to be the observation is that this on top of this carbon graphite electrode, you will see silver magnesium being added on. They will start being formed on that particular side. Okay, now On this side, it's going to be quite similar. On this side, well, different reaction. On this side, the Cl minus side is going to be congregating around this particular electrode. So this is going to be my anode, and this is where my oxidation reaction occurs. And you probably have noticed that before in our electrochemical cell, if you watch that video, the anode is actually the negative electrode in electrochemical cells. But in the electrolytic cell, you know, with the ones electrolysis, this is actually positive. Okay, so this is a positive charge because all of the negative electrode are surrounding it, and they are turning, the Cl minus is turning into Cl2. And what would you see? You're going to see the green Cl2 gas bubbling around in this particular electrode. Okay, and then oxidation reaction loses electrons, so all the electrons gets produced are being forced to go back to the external power source. So without this power source, nothing would happen because why? Because the Mg2 plus
I used to not have
and
much
the Cl minus
self-esteem
are
because I
not
was a very
strong enough
person,
to oxidize and reduce each other.
I was
The
almost
Mg2
working
plus is
against
not
myself,
strong enough to oxidize
where I
Cl
wasn't,
minus. The Cl
ballsy
minus is
enough
not
to-
strong enough to
take things through to the logical conclusion.
reduce.
So I have very low
Mg2
self-esteem
plus.
for myself.
Okay, so how do I?
And I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, fair so, you know. I was in my head calling myself out on my bullshit. Saying you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. And I wasn't doing it. Because I wasn't manning up. And so, that led me to basically... I was too proud. It was a really bad combination, and a lot of smart people really like this, where they're very, very proud of their own intelligence, but because they're calling themselves out on their own bullshit, but they're not doing anything about it. They grow to have very low self-esteem. So those are the fucking nerds, typical nerds, and I guess I was kind of like that. So yeah, I was too proud to talk to. I thought, nah, they're below me, my co-workers, and that really fucked me. So I had some mates there, people that were my own age that I gelled with, but nah, a lot of the people that I could have been friends with should have been mates with. I just wasn't. And the leadership people, the managers at McDonald's. In my own head, I was above them, but obviously in the hierarchy of McDonald's, you aren't above them. So, yeah, I really fucking hated it there. But I loved money. I hated it, but I didn't even know I hated it at the time because I hated school so much. I hated school because I used to love school because I used to try at school. But when you stop trying at school, suddenly, holy fuck, I understand what these dipshits feel. It fucking sucks. It's terrible when you're not aiming to be the best of the best. Because that's where all the games are made, on the edge. It's fun at school when you're actually trying. And I guess I have nostalgia-tinted glasses as well. Rose-tinted glasses, or whatever the fuck the saying is. Of primary school, but yeah, at primary school I genuinely had a lot of fun just because I tried. I was the best of the best, and I had some good mates there too. But high school, yeah, I fucking hated that. So when I went to work, I also thought, that's just how it is. This is just how life is. I guess I just fucking hate shit now, you know. But you don't really realise you hate it. You don't realise it at the time, do you? You go home though. That's what sucks about living that lifestyle. You go home and you do fucking nothing. You play fucking video games. Which is really bad. You should not be doing that. It's cool to play video games, but you need that balance, like. And work would probably be the same way if I came home and just jerked off and played video games still. But I come home and I do the work that I love, and I genuinely love going to work now, and then coming home and doing my business, doing my schoolwork, because I've got a goal to build an engineering business. I just love the process. I love working. I don't know where the fuck that came from, but there you go.
I know that these values are given you know, if you, again, this is a second attempt. If you didn't get it from my previous video, you can have another go here. So what do we have? We have Cl minus, we have Mg2 plus. So look at these values. So when I have Mg2 plus, Mg2 plus is such a crappy oxidant. I mean, look at that value. That negative 2.36 is telling us if Mg2 plus is current to Mg, that's most likely a miracle. It doesn't want to do it. It doesn't want to do it. But you only get Mg2 plus and Cl minus. That's why they don't react, because it's non-spontaneous. If you look at the other one, instead of Cl minus turning to Cl2, it doesn't want to do it, because this is a really positive number. The Cl2 will preferably go to Cl minus, but you don't have any Cl2. Okay, you don't have any Cl2. You only have the Cl minus and the Mg2 plus. That's why this is a non-spontaneous reaction, and that is why you need the external power source. So what does the external power source do? It does two things. First thing is supplies the electrons to the cathode where the reduction reaction can take place. And then it draws, so it forces electrons coming out of the anode to return to the positive terminal, and then it completes a circuit. And then you have a loop and everyone's happy. And slowly over time, you are going to have the magnesium being built on this particular electrode, and then on this electrode you're going to see Cl2 gas, the green Cl2 gas bubbling away on the anode, and which you probably, if your teacher did this practical with you, you probably don't want to do it too long without the fume cover, because the Cl2 gas don't smell very pleasant. So you know, you can see the bubbles and you can see the color change very, very easily. Okay, so hopefully this is straightforward enough, and that's all you again.
Alright. Pretty short podcast, but that's it for today. Peace.